Hey everyone, Next Generation Weather Forecaster Joe Shock here from patreon.com/stormchaserjs. Well, today's video is going to be so long, it's going to be on Patreon and it's going to be on YouTube. The link will be on YouTube, which will be on Patreon, but there's just so much to go over today and we're right on top of this. I want to make sure everyone's going to remain safe while a tropical storm Isaias continues to come up the coast over the next day or so. We have a lot to look at here, even though I only have a few tabs open. There's going to be a lot of speaking that gets done today in this update. So if we take a look here at Isaias, 11 a.m. we had sustained winds of 70 miles an hour. Pressure is down to 998. Actually, it's been fluctuating between 1,000 and 997, but you get the idea. And moving north at 13 miles an hour. I'll click on this here because this is a very helpful page from the National Hurricane Center. You can see how they have their key messages in through here. So it describes everything that's going on with the storm. Also, you can see the rainfall forecast that is being portrayed by the Weather Prediction Center. You can also see some of the other graphics again. We're going to walk through everything that's on here during this video. So it really is helpful for people to come on over. You can see the URL at the top of the page there and go over some of the stuff. So, danger of life-threatening storm surge, inundation for parts of the coastline of South Carolina, northeastern South Carolina, North Carolina, and the storm surge warning area. So residents would need to take the appropriate precautions in their local headline there. Forecasted to regain strength as it approaches the Carolinas later on this evening, and the hurricane warning is in place, which we'll take a look at in just a second. Widespread sustained tropical force winds, mid-Atlantic coast, which is going to cause, again, the big area here of wind damage, and that's going to be a real problem, especially here where I'm based in southern New England, and you can see that here, which could cause tree damage and power outages. Tropical storm conditions are expected to reach southern New England late Tuesday and are also possible in the northern New England going into the day on Wednesday. And heavy rainfall will be on the western side of the track there, as you can see in this graphic here. So let's take a look, an in-depth look at the track. So here's the National Hurricane Center track. And actually, my track that I've been doing over the last week or so is really good. Of course, intensity forecasting is always a challenge. Thankfully, this did not crank up the way some of us were fearing. So this thankfully remained weak. But still, impacts, nevertheless, are going to be there. It's not like we don't have a storm, so we have to obviously prepare, given that track that you see by the National Hurricane Center. So as you can see, they bring it to a hurricane later on today. Having some water here as well, because there's a lot of dry air in my office, which is sneaking into the storm still, believe it or not. Pretty interesting how dry air from my office can sneak out the window and get pulled all the way down there. But no, there is some dry air getting entangled in that system, which we'll take a look at also on the water vapor imagery. But anyway, you can see hurricane warning here in red. Tropical storm warnings, I mean, now this is just incredible. That is probably, I got to go back and look at Irene, but that's probably the longest area of tropical storm warnings that I have seen from the Dominican Republic all the way to Maine. That is pretty impressive. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, that's insane. We've had and hurricane warnings in various places along the way. I mean, that's just incredible. But again, you can see the track there. Now we'll take a look at the wind speed probabilities. Tropical storm force sustained winds. This is a 1 minute average of 39 miles per hour or greater at a given time as the cyclone comes through. As you can see, the probabilities are very high. And then as you go further northeast, probabilities begin to drop. And New England now is starting to get into the area of 30, 40, and up to 60 and 70%. This continues to get closer. Obviously, these probabilities will go up, but you can see in the mid-Atlantic, we're 90 to 70, so very high probabilities now at this point. 50 knot wind speed probabilities. Now, this is sustained winds over 58 miles an hour, and I don't think the storm is going to be 58 miles an hour when it gets up here, but you can see there's some few isolated probabilities, but here again, really it's focused around the core. And again, this thing's going to change its process as it comes up. So what this thing is going to do, it's going to get involved with an upper level feature, trough energy in the jet stream. This thing's going to expand in size, so the wind field is going to expand. It may drop several miles an hour, again down to the mid-upper 50s sustained, but it's going to expand. We're going to have more of a classic nor'easter hybrid system going up the coast, extratropical, whatever the NHC is going to really decide to call this when it's passing through. But we're going to have very strong winds on the south and east side of this thing. Kind of like, again, exactly what we see in a winter storm. This low-level jet that's going to be firing up upwards of 70 to 90 knots. So that's going to mix down quite easily once we get this thing into the Carolinas, all up through Maine over the next day or so. So you can see 50 knot wind probabilities look like this, and then hurricane wind probabilities, I'll show it. There's pretty much not much there, so that's not a concern at all. Looking at the peak surge, you can see that's actually pretty impressive. 2 to 4 feet down here in the Outer Banks, and you can see 1 to 3 feet here up in the southern New England. So this is the storm surge for the tropical system, and storm surge watches and warnings. This is I understand, and then you can see what they have here. And if I expand out, what's going on here with the browser? If I expand outward, these will be expanded further up as we go. It looks like there actually might be a little bug in here. That's why the screen is doing that. But anyway, these will be expanded further up as we go on in time. So that is what the National Hurricane Center has. And finally, we'll take a look at the flash flooding, which is going to be another big story in and of itself. A large area of slight and a very large area of moderate flash flooding over the next 2 days. Pretty impressive, to say the least. And the rainfall, I'll zoomed in close to this so you can see rainfall in this darker green, 2 to 4, some 4 to 6, and even some 6 to 8s and 6 to 10s in this orange here in the mid-Atlantic, and then this will probably get enhanced as it moves further up the coast as we get closer in to the event. So there's a lot of hazards with this. I mean, this is a very serious situation to see something like this unfold. Again, thankfully, it is not a stronger storm. You can also go down here and read the discussion, and they talk about everything that's going on with the forecast, and then here they have some of the wind speeds, and you can see they keep it here at 60, and then they drop it down to 40 over the next few days. So 60 miles an hour. So if we go back to the cone, so we let me go back over here, go over here. So New England is the third cone in. So if we go to the third forecast, and if we go over here to the discussion, so 1, 2, 3, 8 p.m. Tuesday, we go to the discussion, and you can do this yourself. Again, the URL is at the top of the page. So we go 1, 2, 3. They have a 60 mile per hour sustained winds inland. So that's pretty good. I mean, that's a mid-grade tropical storm. So that's something not to certainly, even 35, 40. Again, you have your own little hazards, but that will be it once we get into Canada by that. And again, they go into all the detail here, but you can expect them to update this thing several times a day. Now, going to here, focusing on southern New England, you can see an in-close view of the tropical storm warning here in red, tropical storm watch here in pink up in New Hampshire, and then other various hazards underlying this. There's so many colors on the screen. You'd have to click on your town, and you can go into more detail about that. Moving down here to the surf, you can see if you click on the surf zone, they have waves as this continues to increase. Rip current risk is quite high with this over the next few days. And that's what our local forecast office looks like. You could, again, here's some more stuff on the tropical cyclone, the tweets. You can go to the tropical page on the local forecast WFO page. Scroll down and click on the tropical thing. Go through all the tropical stuff, forecast discussions, hazards, weather briefing. So there's a lot on your local forecast page that you can look at regarding your own local town. There's just so much detail to go into here. I can't go through everything. We'd be doing this for hours. Now, moving on to what's going on currently. This is the visible satellite imagery. Again, here is our system, Isaias. I like saying that, Isaias. It's pretty fun to say. But anyway, here it is. I'm getting well defined. I'm going to try to zoom in on this here. I want to see if I can get in closer. I guess that would be a good domain. Yes. So here we go. If we zoom in, you can see very, very deep convection starting to again wrap around the center, which is somewhere in through here. And I'll pull up the recon data as well while we're on here. I wanted to see what this looked like first before I pull up recon data. But you can see nice blow up of thunderstorms rotating around, and I got to measure this. Looks like maybe another 100 or so miles northward, maybe 200 miles or so northward until it hits the North-South Carolina coastline later on tonight. So this thing, it's got time. It's got, I would say, about 8 to 12 hours over water, 8 to 10, if not 12 hours. So it can still do some things in that time. Looking at the infrared over the last hour, you can again see this cloud tops cooling. So again, as you saw that in the visible, these overshooting tops are beginning to consolidate. Looking at the mid-level water vapor imagery, we have a little bit less dry air than we did earlier, but still there's some dry air punching in through the south here, but overall a nice envelope of energy continuing to congeal. So let's see what this can happen over the next several hours as this continues to progress northward. And yeah, I mean, I gotta tell you, let me actually throw the lightning on while I do this here. Go over here, put on the lightning. Hey, there's some new lightning flashes in there, and this is again over the last hour. I'll stop at the very beginning. and you could see that we only had, you know, barely one flash that was going on. And then if I loop it, you can see the lightning really is beginning to uptick. So we're gonna have to again keep an eye on that over the next few hours to see what can happen with this thing as it continues to move off to the north. And here's the front, by the way, that's beginning to make this turn off to the northeast right in through here. So this whole upper level feature, you know, in through here is the steering mechanism behind this whole thing. So I'll go over here to Tropical Tidbits. We'll take a look at the recon, see what recon is finding out. And here they are again in the storm, measuring the pressure. Is actually a little bit old, but you can see what they're doing here. They're flying this pattern, measuring the wind and getting more data into the forecast model. So this is in storm. There might be a little bit of a delay in the website here for a lot of people on here. So some of this data has been known over the last 2 days to be a little slow updating, but you get the general idea. They are in here measuring the system and finding out how strong it is and all the various measurements that get done. And again, all that data gets sent to the models, and there's the plane right in through there. So this is observation. It's coming up in about 2 hours old, but over the next several hours as the aircraft is continue to be in there, we will have continuation of live data. And again, the URL is at the top of the page if you want to check this out for yourself. Very, very helpful stuff here. Thanks to Dr. Levi Cowan over here at tropicaltidbits.com. Love his site. He's got some great stuff on here. Now, while we're on here as well, we'll take a look quickly at the global models, but in particular the European, and we'll take a look at the dynamics, and you can see what's going on here is, again, this large-scale trough, which I showed you back here with the showers and thunderstorms coming through the southeast. Here it is here producing the showers and thunderstorms as trough, and then if I advance this forward here, let me go back here. Here's the tropical cyclone. Here's the ridge, and then you can see going tonight and tomorrow it just lifts northward and phases in, and that's how this thing is able to come up the coast. So that's pretty much what's going on with our tropical system. For now, I'll give you one last look at the visible satellite imagery with the lightning, and we'll keep you updated as best I can. Again, follow me on Twitter at stormchaserjs.com, and of course, my website, stormchaserjs.com, and Twitter. It's all linked there. It's linked on Patreon, so there's many ways that you can stay up to date through my social media feeds. That's it for now, and thank you for watching.